What's going on, movie fans? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Adam, and today's review is of a film called Freelance. Never knew anything about this movie until a couple weeks ago, where I was able to go see one of those $5 mystery screenings of a film that hadn't come out yet. So it's a total mystery. The only thing they really give you on the Regal app is what it's rated and the rough runtime of the film. And the only thing the app showed for me was it was rated R. It was about an hour and 50 minutes. And in my head, I knew of a film I really wanted to go see called The Killer, starring Michael Fassbender and directed by David Fincher. I was hoping that it was that film. However, it's not. It's Freelance. And I've been sitting on my thoughts for a little bit now because I had gone out of town for work. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to wait till we get a little closer to the release date before I kind of share them to you guys. So anyway, Freelance does star some pretty good actors here. John Cena, Alison Brie, and Christian Slater. It's always great to see him. And I really loved a lot of stuff he's in. He doesn't get a whole lot of screen time in this one, however. But let's talk about it real quick. Freelance follows John Cena's character. He's an ex-Special Force operative here who has kind of been out of the game for a while. And Christian Slater's character was like his superior officer in there, who's now like a kind of a freelance security kind of guy, overseer. He has this like security business or whatever. So he kind of recruits John Cena, gets him out of his day-to-day life as a lawyer, a father figure who's going through kind of a rough patch in their marriage as well. Christian Slater recruits John Cena to assign him to be a security detail for Allison Brie, who's a reporter. And I'm not using the characters' names because honestly, IMDb don't have them in here, and I've seen them a few weeks ago, and I don't remember them. I'll be completely honest with you there. But anyway, so Allison Brie is going to interview this dictator in this country that just so happens to have some kind of backstory to Christian Slater and John Cena's character as well, from an like an old mission they were supposed to go on. The story progresses and they actually meet this dictator. He may not be as bad as we may think, and that's where the story it goes. So let's be honest, this wasn't The Killer by any means, and I was kind of disappointed that it wasn't. So I was, like I said, I didn't really know anything about Freelance. I had seen this really weird poster with John Cena and Alison Brie on, and I was like, okay, well, I guess we're going to give it a shot. I do like them as actors, and say what you will about John Cena as a wrestler, I think he does have some really good chops as an actor here. And, of course, Allison Brie's in it, and she's one of our favorites in the podcast. So it's like, okay, go in with it. Just be open-minded and see where this movie does take us. This movie is kind of a jumble mess of different genre pieces and styles of filmmaking here. It starts off looking like Hardcore Henry with a first-person view of John Cena's character. It was kind of, I was like, I'm hoping this movie isn't like this the whole time, because Hardcore Henry I wasn't a big fan of, and it gave me a headache a few years ago when I did see it. And as we get into like the melodrama of John Cena's life, and it's like it clearly is interesting. The lady, I don't even know who the lady is that plays his wife. His wife is kind of not really good in this movie at all, and I don't really care about their storylines. But when it gets thrust into this world, we finally get introduced to Alison Brie. I was like, okay, I really like Alison Brie, and a lot of the things that I've seen her in, things I can think off the top of my head, like How to Be Single and Scream 4, the things we've watched kind of recently, I guess. But she's so talented in everything that she does that it's really hard not to like her as well. I wanted to see more of her doing her thing. I don't think she has a whole lot of comedic timing in this one, even though she's a very good comedic actress with a lot of great one-liners and other things, and just brings that presence that really pops off the screen. And while she does pop here, I wanted the script to do her a little better justice, because I think that she could have elevated her character and her story a lot, considering the biggest influence I feel like this movie does here is takes a lot of what The Interview with James Franco and Seth Rogen did a few years ago with Korea. It does it with this kind of dictator. It's a reporter go into a dangerous place to interviewing someone who doesn't do interviews, who's also a dictator. It is clearly like that's what the influence is, but it has some really over-the-top action set pieces, which also The Interview did have as well. However, instead of having, the kind of the dictator be who you actually think he is, this one flips it on the head, and actually the dictator isn't as bad as what people are saying. And he's actually rather good in this role as well. So I did actually dig a little deeper on IMDb here, and I did find the characters' names. But first, I mentioned the dictator. The dictator, his name is Juan Venegas, and he's played by Juan Pablo Raba. Juan Pablo Raba is really good in this. He actually has the best comedic moments, considering Cena and Brie are known for doing kind of comedic moments. This guy outshines them by like a country mile. It is like no chance. He is by far the funniest thing in this movie because how quirky the character is. And I think that was by design here, even though it's kind of weird that this, to me, he's an unknown actor and he overshadows the actors that I actually do think are funny. That's kind of interesting. John Cena does play this character called Mason Pettis, and Allison Brie plays Claire Wellington. That's right. Now that I see it, I remember those names being said on screen. As our characters do kind of slowly progress, you kind of know where the beats are going to go. You know that there's going to be kind of some kind of romantic tension between Alison Brie and John Cena, even though I'm glad the story didn't actually end up that way, and he actually does try to make things right with his family, and especially he's doing this job for his daughter to give her the best life, which is noble, and I'm glad that they actually didn't go the route that you kind of see it being set up for of Alison Brie and John Cena trying to maybe be together. Even though there's like some random scene with all three of these actors being naked on screen together, it's weird. I gotta say that. The action here is not directed horribly. It is a lot of things going on, and you don't really care for what all the different people who are dying here. There's some mercenaries also get thrust into the storyline here, and the head of the mercenaries here is the one and only Martin Koskas, who is also known for being in like Triple H and stuff like that. And then Aeon Flux and the villain for The Amazing Spider-Man as well. So I kind of forgot about this actor, even though he is kind of always plays the villain and everything, it seems like. But he also is just kind of appears and has like 10 minutes of screen time, and you don't really care. He's just the head of the mercenaries for some reason. And yeah, can you tell this is kind of a forgettable movie. And it wasn't like too long ago that I did see this. And that's what I'm saying about this. This obviously was not really advertised for all. They're throwing it in October to hope to get some money because people can't go see the Taylor Swift movie. They can't go see Killers of the Flower Moon. They can't even maybe go see some of the other horror movie that did come out recently either. They're trying to just save face and try to get some money. I don't understand why John Cena and Alison Brie were in this thing. I think there was probably a script that they did read that they got signed onto. It's like, oh, this could be very interesting. But the whole kind of process of the movie just really let them down. It doesn't know what it wants to be. It wants to be an action movie. It wants to be a comedy. It wants to have this kind of over-the-top kind of action set pieces, but also wants to try to make some kind of political statement. And I don't understand any of what's going on here because it doesn't stick to a certain pinpoint of the direction that they want to go in. Very frustrating as a movie watcher here. What made it even more frustrating is the audience that I saw with it were eating everything up. And I was like, how was that funny? Are they laughing at the movie or are they laughing at the jokes being truly funny? There was a group of people, like 4 or 5 people that are actually like the loudest in the audience, but the rest of the people around me were not even laughing at all. So it was kind of like a mixed audience reaction here. I think a couple people did walk out of it, which is typical, and I was like, man, it's only $5. Maybe I should just leave, but at the same time, I would be doing myself a disservice. I hate walking out of movies, even if they're absolutely terrible. So again, Freelance, I wanted more. I think I can see a world with this. There's definitely a potential of this being a way better movie. Also, the name is kind of stupid too, because he's a freelance kind of bodyguard for the security company. But if you type in Freelance, like, nobody knows anything about this movie. Like, supposedly it's coming out on this upcoming Friday. I guess we'll see, right? Fingers crossed. I'm giving this 1 star. What saved this movie for me is Juan Pablo Raba, because every time he was on screen, the film felt exactly like the tone of his character was portraying. John Cena and Alison Brie didn't necessarily fit that too well, especially Cena, because he had the one look the whole time. It was like just kind of like trying to be brooding and everything like that. And Cena does do a good job in a lot of things here. Like, I liked him in the Fast X franchise Fast X franchise. I liked him in Fast X and the Fast and the Furious franchise. And Trainwreck, he does have those comedic timing and those chops there. He's been in a lot of good stuff, and he's talented yet for an ex-wrestler too. But this movie also let him down and made him maybe not look like a good actor here as well. Biggest issue here is Pierre Morel's trying to make this cool action-y film, and it just kind of falls flat. He is known to do some of these style films. He did Peppermint with Jennifer Garner a few years ago, The Gunman with Sean Penn, and of course he is known for Taken with Liam Neeson. The first Taken, he didn't do the other ones. And then another one that I do want to shout out that I did actually kind of appreciate, I've only seen it the one time though, was From Paris with Love with John Travolta. That was a pretty cool one back in 2010. His direction here, it doesn't really work. It feels like those other movies, but has a little bit more bigger scope to it, I guess, in a way, and some really good name power. Unfortunately, the source material, the direction, kind of let the actors kind of down. There's an interesting premise that never really does fall flat for me. Again, I'm not really high on this one. Would not be interested in rewatching it either. Never say never, I guess. But anyway, that's my quick thoughts and takes on Freelance, the new film starring John Cena and Alison Brie. Let me know in the comments section down below what you guys thought of the film, and let's have a good conversation down there. And make sure you like, share, and subscribe. I don't know why I did the gun fingers. I think that's where we should end it. Until next time, we'll see you later.